smooth sea never made a skilled sailor. It's a quotation attributed to Franklin Roosevelt. It's a reference to life without any tribulation. Everything is great. There are no bumps in the road, no challenges or difficulties to overcome. It's a unicorn of lives that has never lived. It's sought by everyone, yet remains this mythical creature that is never seen nor captured. The liturgy of the Word today opens with a passage from Job. And of any person who ever lived, Job is the example of one who has had everything stripped away from him. All that was good in his life was taken away from him, taken from his grasp. He was left with nothing more than hardship. Yet even in this state, Job did not abandon his faith. He didn't abandon his relationship with God. His friends, referred to as Job's comforters, added insult to injury, encouraging him to go deeper into his fear, deeper into depression and desolation. Who is this that darkens counsel by words without knowledge? This is the Lord's response to Job in his very darkened state. The counsel he was receiving from his friends was far from helpful. Yet Job had knowledge of God. He was extremely faithful before, during, and after his tribulation. The desolation he experienced was the rough seas that test any sailor, the hardships experienced in many of our lives. And for Job, they came all at once. For the majority of us, there are several waves throughout our life. Sometimes those waves are smaller than what Job experienced, yet they can seem just as intense in the moment. Job trusted the Lord. He trusted that God would never abandon him, that his life would not be forever spent sitting on a dung heap void of any joy. And this disposition that he had, it didn't develop instantaneously. It was developed throughout his entire life, developed by his consistent relationship with the Lord. In the gospel today, we encounter Jesus with his disciples, and they're in a boat. His disciples, those who have direct access to him, those who experience Jesus each and every day, those who spend time with him each and every day. They know him. They've witnessed his miracles. They've heard his teachings. They experienced him interact with the most broken of society. As the storm develops, where's Jesus? He's asleep in the stern of the boat on a cushion. And the storm doesn't seem to bother him, although the waves are crashing over the boat and swamping the boat with water. Jesus is undisturbed. So the disciples wake him up with obviously more panic and commotion than the storm is causing. They wake Jesus up with a question that is quite confusing to us who know the rest of Jesus' life. Do you not care? The panic of the situation that must have led to that question, and it most likely wasn't whispered into Jesus' ear or asked very calmly. Yet panic-filled desperation with a voice that is louder than the storm to actually wake Jesus from his slumber. Do you not care? There have been times in my own life when the rug seems to be pulled out from underneath my feet. It's either my own doing or God's plan to bring me closer to him, to let me grow in humility. And each time the rug is pulled from beneath my feet, I am brought to my knees. And in desperation, in different words than what were asked in the gospel, I make the exact same accusation to Jesus. Do you not care? Each time I find myself before a tabernacle or in front of a crucifix, longing for him to actually respond to that question, do you not care that we are perishing? It was never Jesus who was absent from those situations. It was I who had forgotten his presence. Jesus hanging on the cross, giving up his life for mine. Jesus Christ truly present in front of me in the Eucharist, withholding absolutely nothing of himself from me. Do you not care? The answer to each and every Christian should be obvious, yet the storms we face often distract us. The waves that keep on crashing over the boat disorient and disrupt our ability to see clearly that answer. In these moments, our faith is indeed tested. As the disciples were questioned by Jesus, "Why are you afraid? Have you still no faith?" At these times, our faith is evident by our mere presence before him, from that simple dialogue. I was once asked by a spiritual director or director of formation in seminary, where do you go in times like this? Where do you go when that storm arises in your life? And I answered him very honestly in the moment. I believe it was back in 2008, 2009. I retreat to the chapel. I find an adoration chapel somewhere. I go to prayer. But that wasn't always the way. For so many years, in those moments of tribulation, when the storm hit, I would embrace vice as myself, only to plunge deeper and deeper into despair. We are assured throughout the Gospels, your faith has made you well. It has saved you from the storm and is affirmed only by our experience. The storms we face in this life, they might be short-lived or they might actually be longer term. They may be bigger waves than we've ever experienced before, or they might just be a ripple in the water. As Jesus was present to the disciples in the storm, as the Lord did not abandon Job in his desolation, he too is present to us. Have you still no faith? When the storm arises in our life, where is our faith? How is it demonstrated? Where do we go? When the boat is sinking, Jesus too is present. Do you not care? And the answer is obvious. We need only to approach him, to look up at the cross, to gaze upon the tabernacle, to remind ourselves the extent that Jesus is willing to go to calm the storm in our life.